Hey everyone, welcome in. You know that amazing feeling when you finally clean out your closet?
Yeah, totally.
Well, today on World Mental Health Day, we're talking about that same kind of renewal,
Okay.
but on a cellular level,
Mm.
with this process called autophagy.
It's like your body has this inner recycling crew
Oh, wow.
that breaks down old cell parts and uses them
Yeah.
to build new ones.
Okay.
Understanding how to support that, especially after trauma, is what we're going to kind of dive into today.
I am so intrigued, and you bring such a unique perspective to this.
Well, thank you.
And from the legs of these notes, fermented foods, cold exposure, even how our pets play a role, this is going to be fascinating.
It is.
Can we start with sleep?
Sure.
The source material is really emphasizing it, especially for those dealing with PTSD, anxiety, depression,
Right.
things that hit close to home for you, right?
Absolutely. And it makes sense if you think about it,
Okay.
because during deep sleep,
Mm.
our brains are hard at work with their own cleanup crew,
Oh, wow.
the glymphatic system.
Oh.
Imagine this. During the day, our brains are busy highways.
Right.
But at night, the cleaning crew comes in, removes all the debris, and by morning, things are running smoother. Less mental fog, better emotional regulation. It's all connected.
That analogy makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So better sleep equals a cleaner brain, which means we're better equipped to handle everything life throws at us,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to healing from trauma.
Exactly. And this is where autophagy really comes into play.
Okay.
The source material dives into some powerful activators for this process, and fasting is high on the list.
Fasting, yes. The excitement practically jumps off the page. But I know it can sound intimidating.
Sure.
What would you say to someone who's hesitant or maybe even a little scared to try it?
It's totally understandable. It's not about deprivation. It's about giving your body a chance to focus on repair.
Okay.
Think of it like this. When you're constantly eating, your body is in digestion mode.
Right.
Fasting hits the pause button, allowing your cells to shift into that incredible recycling mode we call autophagy.
So our bodies say, time to tidy up and use what we've got.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about going days without food, right?
Not at all. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay.
Even starting with a 12-hour overnight fast can make a difference.
Right.
You might already be doing it without realizing it.
That's reassuring. Now, the source material also talks about what we drink during fasting, specifically green tea,
Yes.
which I'm all for,
Yeah.
but what makes it so special?
Get ready to geek out. Because green tea, particularly a type called matcha, is loaded with these powerful antioxidants called polyphenols,
Okay.
specifically EGCG.
EGCG. Okay, that sounds pretty sciencey.
It is.
Break it down for me.
Okay.
What makes it so powerful when it comes to autophagy?
Imagine your cells are like little factories,
Oh, okay.
and free radicals are like bits of junk that can, gum up the works.
Right.
EGCG is like a superpowered vacuum cleaner, scooping up those free radicals and helping to keep those cellular factories running smoothly. And that's key for autophagy, because if your cells are bogged down with damage, they can't recycle and renew as efficiently.
So sipping green tea while fasting, it's like giving our bodies a double dose of cleaning power.
Exactly.
And the source material mentions some other fasting-friendly drinks too, right? Like turmeric tea and cinnamon tea.
Yes, those are great options as well.
Okay.
And for those who need a bit more substance, bone broth is mentioned.
Oh, okay.
It's packed with nutrients that can support your body during a fast.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's all about finding what feels right for you and your body's needs.
Okay, so we've hit the refresh button with sleep, kick-started our cellular cleaning crew with fasting and those power-packed drinks. But what about movement?
Yeah.
Exercise always feels like a key part of the holistic health puzzle to me.
Absolutely. And the source material dives into that, reminding us that we are intricate systems and movement is medicine.
Yes, I love that. What's interesting is that they talk about HIIT workouts, those high-intensity interval training sessions, as being particularly beneficial for autophagy. Why is that?
Well, think of HIIT workouts as a positive form of stress for your cells.
Okay.
These short bursts of intense activity actually create a bit of cellular disruption,
Uh-huh.
which might sound bad,
Right.
but it's actually beneficial.
Okay.
It's like giving your cells a wake-up call, signaling them to ramp up their repair and recycling efforts.
Okay, I'm starting to see why HIIT workouts are so popular, but it can be pretty intense.
It can.
What about those of us who prefer gentler forms of exercise?
The source material emphasizes that it's not about pushing ourselves to extremes.
Okay.
Even moderate exercise, a brisk walk, swimming, yoga, even dancing, can make a difference.
That's reassuring to hear. And it goes back to that idea of finding what works for you. It's not about punishing yourself at the gym. It's about moving your body in ways you enjoy.
Exactly. It's about honoring your body, listening to its cues, and finding sustainable ways to incorporate movement into your life.
Now we're talking. This deep dive just keeps getting more interesting.
It does.
Ready to move on to the next section. We're about to venture into the fascinating world of the gut-brain connection, something I know you're particularly passionate about.
I am. And the source material puts it perfectly.
Okay.
Your gut health is directly tied to your mental well-being. It's a connection we can't afford to ignore, especially when we're talking about autophagy.
And one that's often overlooked, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Okay, so the gut-brain connection.
Yes.
Can you break down the science behind this powerful link and how it all ties back to our autophagy powerhouse?
Well, picture this. Your gut is like a second brain,
Okay.
a complex network of neurons in constant communication with the brain in your head.
Wow.
And the key players in this communication highway are the trillions of bacteria that live in our intestines, our gut microbiome.
Okay, mind blown. I knew our gut bacteria were important, but I never thought of them as being part of a communication superhighway.
It's amazing.
Tell me more.
It's truly remarkable. These bacteria actually produce and respond to neurochemicals, some of the same ones our brains use to regulate mood, sleep, and even our response to stress.
Wow.
When our gut microbiome is balanced and thriving, it sends positive signals to the brain, promoting a sense of well-being.
Okay.
But when it's out of whack, that's when we see issues with mood, sleep, even how our brains process emotions.
So that's the link. An imbalanced gut can actually mess with our mood, our sleep, even how our brains process emotions.
Yeah.
No wonder it's so closely tied to mental health.
Right.
And here's where autophagy comes back into play.
Exactly.
A healthy gut means better nutrient absorption, and autophagy needs those raw materials to function optimally.
Right.
If our gut isn't absorbing nutrients properly, it's like trying to build a house without all the necessary materials.
It's like trying to bake a cake without all the ingredients.
Right. You're not going to get that delicious result you're looking for. Speaking of ingredients, the source material highlights a couple of gut-friendly superstars, fermented foods and apple cider vinegar.
Right, yeah.
They're like the dynamic duo of gut health. Fermented foods are teeming with probiotics, those beneficial bacteria our gut loves.
Right.
They help maintain a balanced microbiome, which is essential for overall gut function and, as we've discussed, plays a role in supporting autophagy.
It's like they're sending reinforcements to our gut's internal cleaning crew. And apple cider vinegar, what's its superpower?
Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, which helps create a more acidic environment in the stomach.
Okay.
This can be beneficial for digestion and may even help support a healthy balance of gut bacteria.
Okay, so fermented foods and apple cider vinegar are noted. But there's one more element from the source material that I'm really drawn to. The power of nature.
Yes,
They refer to it as a balm for the soul, and I would say I resonate with that.
I agree.
And there's science to back it up.
Okay.
Spending time in nature has been shown to reduce stress and inflammation, two things that can hinder autophagy.
It's like our bodies and minds were designed to thrive in nature. And speaking of thriving, the source material introduces this really interesting metaphor, the peaceful, strong Buddha berry tree, as a representation of our inner selves.
Okay.
I'll admit, I chuckled when I read that.
I know, right? What's your take on it?
I love it. It sounds funny at first,
Right.
but it's actually quite profound.
Okay.
Think about it. The Buddha represents peace and mindfulness. The strong signifies resilience, and the berry tree symbolizes growth and nourishment.
Okay.
It's about cultivating all of these qualities within ourselves, just like we would nurture a tree to help it grow strong and bear fruit.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just like a tree needs sunlight, water, and nutrient-rich soil to thrive, we need to nourish ourselves with self-care, mindful practices, and that connection to nature we were just talking about.
Right.
It all ties together. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
We've got a lot more to unpack. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of this fascinating topic. Are you ready to dive into the next layer? Okay, so we're picturing our peaceful, strong Buddha berry trees, nourished by sleep, balanced by fasting, strengthened by movement, and rooted in a healthy gut-brain connection. What other insights does this deep dive have in store for us?
well, remember how we talked about our external environment impacting our internal state?
Right.
The source material takes us a step further with the idea of creating a feng shui zen den.
Right. I remember chuckling when I saw that in the notes.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit out there, but also intriguing. What's the connection to autophagy and healing, especially from trauma?
It's about creating a space that supports your nervous system, which is often overloaded after trauma.
Right.
Think about it. Clutter, disorganization, too much sensory input, it can all keep us in a state of low-grade stress, making it harder to truly relax, sleep deeply, and tap into those restorative states where autophagy can work its magic.
So our physical environment can actually impact our cellular renewal.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it is.
Tell me more about this Feng Shui Zenden idea. What does that even look like?
It's not about adhering to strict Feng Shui principles. It's about being intentional with your space.
Okay.
The source material talks about minimizing distractions, creating a sense of order, and surrounding yourself with things that spark joy.
Okay.
Even small changes can make a difference.
It's like creating a sanctuary for your peaceful, strong Buddhaberry tree to thrive in, right? I love that visual.
Yeah.
And speaking of nurturing our inner landscape,
Okay.
there's one more layer we need to explore, the mental and emotional aspect of healing.
Yes. We've talked about the physical practices, sleep, fasting, movement, but what about the inner work?
The source material doesn't shy away from the fact that true healing, especially from trauma, involves addressing our thoughts, beliefs, and emotional patterns.
Right.
And that's where mindfulness and a deeper understanding of ourselves come in.
It's like tending to the roots of our peaceful, strong Buddhaberry tree, making sure they're strong and healthy so the whole tree can flourish.
Exactly.
And one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for tending to those roots is breath work. The source material describes it as a way to directly regulate our nervous system, which is especially important for those who've experienced trauma.
That makes sense. Our breath is always with us.
Right.
It's something we can control even when everything else feels chaotic, and it's directly linked to our nervous system.
Exactly.
It's like having a built-in reset button.
Right.
The source material specifically mentions box breathing.
Okay.
Have you heard of that technique?
Vaguely, but remind me. I'm always open to new breathwork techniques.
It's incredibly simple yet effective.
Okay.
You inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4.
Okay.
Visualize drawing the sides of a box as you breathe, hence the name.
I love how straightforward that is. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Hence it's so effective.
This rhythmic pattern helps calm the nervous system, slow down the heart rate, and bring a sense of focus and clarity.
Okay.
And the beauty of breath work is that it's incredibly adaptable.
So if box breathing isn't your jam, there are other options.
Absolutely. You can adjust the counts to find what feels most comfortable.
Right.
Or try different techniques like alternate nostril breathing or lion's breath, which the source material also mentions.
Cool.
It's about finding what resonates with you.
It's like finding the right rhythm for your breath to help your peaceful, strong Buddhaberry tree sway in the breeze.
I like that.
And speaking of finding balance,
Okay.
the source material also delves into a really practical tool for emotional check-ins,
Okay.
the HALT method.
HALT.
Yeah.
It rings a bell, but I'm drawing a blank.
Oh,
Refresh my memory.
it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Oh, right. It's about checking in with our basic needs and seeing if any of them are out of balance.
Exactly.
I can see how that would be helpful.
Yeah.
When we're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or emotionally reactive, it's often because one or more of these basic needs isn't being met.
Right.
The HALT method encourages us to pause and ask ourselves, am I actually hungry?
Okay.
Could I be feeling angry or frustrated?
Right.
Am I feeling lonely or disconnected?
Okay.
Or am I simply tired and in need of rest?
Okay, that's actually really helpful.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can get so caught up in the whirlwind of emotions that we forget to check in with our basic needs.
Exactly.
And once we identify the root cause, we can take steps to address it in a healthy way.
Right.
If you're hungry, nourish your body with a wholesome meal.
Right.
If you're angry, find a healthy outlet for those emotions.
Okay.
If you're lonely, connect with loved ones.
Right.
And if you're tired, well, you know what to do.
Right.
Rest is essential.
It's like giving our peaceful, strong Buddhaberry tree exactly what it needs to thrive.
Exactly.
And the beautiful thing about the HALT method is that it's not about judging ourselves for having these feelings or needs.
Right.
It's about cultivating self-awareness and compassion.
It's about recognizing that we're human and we have needs.
Right.
And by honoring those needs, we're better equipped to navigate the ups and downs of life. I'm loving these practical tools. What other insights does the source material offer when it comes to cultivating a supportive inner landscape?
Well, in addition to breath work and the HALT method, the source material touches on the power of mindfulness practices like meditation and gratitude.
Okay.
They can be incredibly powerful tools for calming the mind, shifting our perspective, and ultimately creating a more peaceful internal environment.
It's like tending to the soil of our peaceful, strong Buddha tree, ensuring it's fertile and rich with nutrients.
Exactly.
And just like tending to a garden takes time, patience, and consistency, so too does cultivating a healthy inner landscape.
It's a journey, not a destination, right?
Absolutely.
And every step we take, no matter how small, is a step towards greater well-being.
I love that. This conversation has been so insightful, and I'm so grateful for your wisdom and guidance.
Well, thank you.
Ready to shift gears a bit?
Sure.
I know our listeners are eager to hear about some practical tips and maybe even some product recommendations from the source material to help them implement these autophagy boosting strategies.
Absolutely. Let's dive into the practical side of things.
So we've explored a ton of fascinating ground in this deep dive into autophagy.
Yeah.
We talked about everything from the power of sleep and fasting to the importance of movement, gut health, our environment, and even our mental and emotional landscape.
Right.
It's amazing how intertwined it all is.
It is.
You know?
It really highlights that our bodies are these incredible interconnected systems, and autophagy is like the symphony conductor, ensuring everything runs smoothly.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of bringing things together in the last part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
let's talk about how we can actually put all of this amazing information into practice.
Okay.
The source material has some great tips, even some product recommendations, right?
Absolutely. Let's empower our listeners to become their own autophagy advocates.
Yes, let's do it. Where do we even begin? After our conversation about the Feng Shui Zen Den, I'm feeling inspired to declutter, but a bit overwhelmed at the same time.
Sure.
Any baby steps we can start with?
I hear you. The source material emphasizes that you don't need a complete home makeover.
Okay.
Even small changes can make a big difference.
Okay.
One suggestion is to start with a simple 10-minute decluttering ritual each day.
Okay.
Set a timer, pick one small area, like a drawer or a shelf, and just focus on that.
10 minutes. Anyone can do that. It's about progress, not perfection. Right. Which reminds me, the source material also talks about celebrating our wins, big or small, as a way to stay motivated.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Celebrating our wins is crucial. Every time we acknowledge our efforts, no matter how small, we reinforce positive changes in our brains.
Right.
So yeah, celebrate cleaning out that junk drawer. Celebrate incorporating a 12-hour fast. Celebrate spending 10 minutes in nature. It all adds up.
And speaking of celebrating, let's celebrate self-compassion. The source material emphasizes that this journey isn't about being perfect. It's about being kind to ourselves.
Right.
It's a marathon,
Yeah.
not a sprint.
Right. 100%. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress, and each day is a new opportunity to learn, grow, and nourish our peaceful, strong Buddha trees.
Yes, love that. And speaking of nourishing, before we wrap up, the source material did have a few product recommendations.
Okay.
I've got to say I was a bit surprised to see blue blocking glasses on the list.
It might seem surprising, but remember how we talked about the importance of deep restorative sleep for autophagy?
Right.
Well, blue light from screens can actually interfere with our sleep cycles, specifically by suppressing melatonin production.
Okay.
Blue blocking glasses help filter out that blue light, signaling to our brains that it's time to wind down.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like tricking our brains into thinking it's sunset, even if we're catching up on emails.
Exactly. And the source material also mentioned a few supplements that might support autophagy.
Okay.
But it's important to remember that supplements should always be approached with caution and ideally discussed with a healthcare professional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another. And it's always best to consult with the healthcare provider before starting any new supplement regimen.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that's a good note to end on.
Okay.
While this deep dive has been incredibly informative, it's not a substitute for personalized medical advice.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening and empowering, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic.
We've explored so much, but you're right, there's always more to learn.
But if there's one key takeaway I hope our listeners leave with, it's this. Your body is incredible.
It is.
It has this remarkable capacity for healing, renewal, and transformation, and autophagy is at the heart of that.
It's about recognizing that we have the innate ability to create the conditions for optimal health and well-being.
So beautifully said. Now, as we wrap up this incredible deep dive into autophagy, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question. What one small act of self-care will you do today to nourish your peaceful, strong Buddhaberry tree?
That's a good one.
Remember, every step you take, no matter how small, is a step towards greater health, vitality, and well-being.
Okay.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nurturing your incredible autophagy-powered self.
I love that. Until next time, happy healing, everyone.